as you know, who's frequently on the panel. Next trade, Pepsi making some management changes. Former Sam's Club president Brian Cornell is joining Pepsi as the CEO of the snack division. He takes over for John Compton, who becomes president of PepsiCo. But will this be enough to get the company back on track? Bill Schmitz, analyst at Deutsche Bank, joins us on the Fast Line with more on that. Bill, welcome to the show.
Great, thanks for having me.
We posed the question right then and there in the intro, so answer it for us. Is this enough?
I think it's a good step, obviously. You know, the thing with Compton is probably the worst kept secret in the industry. So, you know, Pepsi had a big analyst day, big restructuring program. Everyone thought it was going to be announced then. Apparently, he couldn't get the contract and the employment agreement done, from Walmart to Pepsi. And so I think people kind of already knew this was happening. So probably not enough in the short term, but definitely a good incremental step.
What does it mean, though, for Indra Nooyi's future?
I think she kind of laid it out there when she spoke publicly at their analyst meeting. So, a bunch of reinvestment back into the brands, new management in place, going to spend a lot of money trying to resurrect some of the big equities. If it works, she's fine. And if not, 12 to 18 months, I think she probably is going to voluntarily step aside.
Not a lot has worked. I mean, that's been one of the issues, right?
They cut a ton of advertising spending. So I think if you look back the last 4 or 5 years, advertising is the gas that drives all these brands. If you're not going to spend behind them, you're clearly not going to grow sales, and I think they've came to that realization. Now they're dumping a ton of money back into the business.
You can shuffle names in management all the time. It doesn't necessarily mean that there's going to be some great payoff. What do these names that are now in these positions need to do to make Pepsi viable or more viable than it is right now?
I think, John Compton's motion is a great one because, he bleeds Pepsi blue. He's been with the company forever. I think internally they trust him a lot, and he's been given the license to reinvest behind the businesses. So I think, they're going to invest pretty heavily across Frito. And then, by the way, the company's already said, if we can't get the U.S. beverage business fixed in the next 12 to 18 months, we're going to get rid of it. So imagine Pepsi without a U.S. Pepsi-branded soda business, and that's the game plan if they can't turn it around in the next 12 months.
Well, don't they need to spin off snacks or something at this point? Do they need to do something as drastic as that or as radical, perhaps is a better word?
I think if it doesn't work and all this sort of, like I said before, reinvestment doesn't get traction, then absolutely. I mean, people have to remember that about 2/3 the value of Pepsi is in that Frito business, so the snacks business. We'll see what happens, but if they do decide to split it up, you're going to get a very big multiple on that Frito business. So I do think it would be value enhancing, but let's just see if this reinvestment behind the soda business works.
Bill, it's good to have you on the show. Thanks so much.
Great, thanks for having me.
Bill Schmitz of Deutsche Bank joining us on the Fast Line on Pepsi. Buyer of Pepsi.
I've owned it for a long time. I think I would consider actually adding to it because it sort of plays out a lot like the ConocoPhillips example where you're talking about some of the spin-outs, trying to get some of that value, the new management. If this doesn't succeed, like Bill pointed out, 12 to 18 months, I absolutely would expect to see that. But he's got a $70 target. It's paying you 3% in the meantime. Anthony, I don't think it's too expensive.
No, I like it. I've had it as a hedge fund trade of the week. And I disagree slightly. He's got great analytical skills, but I disagree about breaking up the company because you got to teach this elephant to dance. Lou Gerstner would never break up a company like this. There's too many synergies. I do agree that advertising is the mother's milk of these brands the way it is in political campaigns, but they should keep this company together for now, get the right driver in the car, and this thing will take off.
Dr. J?
Yeah, I agree with all those assessments. I mean, you put them up against Coke over the last 5 years. Coke's up 50%, but as Pete and Anthony both said, you are getting paid to own the stock here, 3%, and you have that kicker.
John, it's not money. It's not money going to die anywhere. I gotta ask that every once in a while.
Yeah, I understand. No, 3% these days, Anthony, is like manna from heaven since you're getting zero in the bank. But no, this is a great pick by you. I think again, you're paid to hold the stock, and there's that potential of a spin-off in the future there, whether it's the U.S. beverage business or the snack business, which is the bigger pop. So I would not sell shares here.
All right, guys, coming up, is Disney immune to cord cutting? We'll talk to the